Hello everyone and welcome to Java Forever course. Today we are starting a new unit called sequence control structures. In the sequence control structure, today we will be talking at a very high level what does it mean by sequence control structure, how does a Java program work in terms of input and output. So let's begin. At a high level, if you look at any Java program or for that matter any other programming language, there are three type of control structure a programming language has. What I refer it as, the first one is sequential. Second one, I refer it as conditional. That's the next unit. And later we will also look into what we call it iteration, where we learn about loops and all that part. Our focus right now is on sequential control unit. Now, in sequential control unit, the idea is that when you write a Java program, suppose we write a Java program and we give set of instructions. A program is nothing but set of instructions. We write code. We write line number 1, line number 2, line number 3, 4, 5, and so on. In sequential control structure, Java program is going to run line by line from top to bottom. It will not skip anything. It will not repeat anything. It will just follow the sequence of your code as it appears in the program. And that's what we refer as sequential control. This is the simplest form of programming. Does it solve every type of problem? Not really. Many times we want to repeat our code for a few times. Many times we want to do some conditional operation. If this is true, then do this. Otherwise, do something else. And we'll learn more about it. But let's talk a little bit more about sequential control. Now, irrespective of sequential control, in general, every Java program has three building blocks. The first building block is what we refer as input. The second building block is processing, and third building block is output. Like any other system, a Java program also may accept some input. For example, name of the user, for example, a file, for example, an email you want to process, you want Java to process, or some data. That's input, and it can be one or more. We learned about different type of inputs, the data type of the inputs, string and all. Once we receive the input, then you are going to do processing. The processing part is where you really write most of your code in terms of, for example, if I take an example of finding sum of three numbers or average of three numbers, those three numbers are your input, first number, second number, and third number, for example. And your process block is nothing but your key logic, the algorithm of how would you find an average of three numbers. And in this case, it's very simple. All you do is add three numbers, which is num1, n1 plus n2 plus n3. And then you suppose this is your sum. And then you say sum divided by 3, and this is your average, a equal to. These two lines of code is your key logic. And at the end of the processing, like any other system or program, your program also has to return some output because user gave you some input and they expected some output. In this case, expectation is find the average. So the last number is your average that you will return it. Now, when I started programming, or the way I recommend to all of you is always think in terms of input, processing, and output. Identify what are the input to your program and what is the output. That way you create a skeleton. For example, there are three inputs, as I said in this exam, right? So you want to accept three numbers from the user. You are going to write, read next, you'll read for first number, and then it's going to be a string, so you will convert into a number. Then you will do second, then you will find third. And then let's declare a variable that's going to be my output. I'll say, since it's finding average, it can be double. So I'll say double a equal to 0.0 in the beginning. And then my goal is to calculate a using these three numbers. So this is going to be my input. This is going to be my output. and I'm going to print my output at the end. I'll say print, print line, whatever, and print the value of A. In between here is where your two lines, this and this, gonna be. You will say s, I'm declaring a variable called, say let's say int or double s equal to n1 plus n2 plus n3. And then I'll find average, which is a equal to s divided by 3. So as you can see, I clearly identified my input, I identified my output, I declared a variable for my output. I know this is the variable I'm going to calculate. Anything and everything I do has to lead to the calculation of this value A, which is average, and then I'm going to print it back on the screen. So I create a skeleton and then focus on processing block. And that is a strategy you want to take it in the beginning, and that way you are not confused between input, output, or processing. You keep it in individual blocks and solve accordingly. That's all for today. We will be applying these techniques multiple times in the next few chapters so that you really get it, you feel very comfortable. And the next unit we are going to talk about is manipulating numbers. We'll learn some of the functions Java provides for manipulation of numbers. We'll also learn how to manipulate strings in subsequent classes. So stay tuned and practice. Practice is the only way to learn coding. So I always tell you, practice, practice, and practice. Thank you, and see you again.
Thanks for watching. Do subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.